They came with rolled blueprints and handshakes under gaslight. Sold a charter stitch from hope in the hush of last night. Coal and cannon cooled the children fed on ration bread. They offered laws like ladders built from the bones of the dead. They spoke of peace and rebuilding, of trade routes to be sown. A council of the nations like a lighthouse over stone. But under the table, in the ledger and the ink, a separate world was forming, quieter than you think. Where flags were sewn on sleeves, they sold them into bonds. Where leaders swore in public, the margins made the cons. A new map drawn in balance sheets of borderless design. The currency of influence made law from line to line.
Our roads lead to Rome, but Rome has moved its face. Towers that once bowed to emperors now hide in market space. Banks like city-states, with passports made of notes. The vaults that answer only to the whisper of their voice.
They found the engines of the world and moved them at a price. Ships sweat across the oceans, folded labor into dice. Factories like Mars were drawn to light, subsidized and clean. And nations traded muscle for the hum of a new machine. Emission laws and silver tongues turned thunder into hush. The muscle cars grew quiet while the bankers learned to trust. An industry that roared became a ledger on a screen. The heartbeat of an era traded for an accounting scene. The Vatican keeps secrets wrapped in silk and candlelight. A city on a hill of faith, a shadow in the night. The city of London holds its ledgers like a crown. A sovereign of the markets where no single law holds down. They call them sovereign islands, separate from the land, untouchable by local courts, untethered by the hand. They move the strings of commerce, the cords that bind the states. They fund foundations quietly and open corporate gates. Listen, the corridors are busy with the softer kind of war. Deals inked in polished rooms where ordinary feet don't floor. They taught us that connection is a ladder to be climbed. They taught us to be grateful when the top was redesigned. Every treaty a test bed, every union a rehearsal. The EU a blueprint chamber, a scale upon the world. One language for the market, one code for those who trade. They practice global governance from legislation made. Remember the man who lost his shop to shipping lanes and cheaper steel. The woman who watched her father's pay shrink into someone else's deal. They said we were safer now, no rival power to rise. But safety bought with silence and factories moved the tides. He used to tune his Chevy in the evenings with the laugh. The roar of a V8 stitched into the memory of the past. They changed the rules and quieted the road, called it progress and repair. But progress has a ledger too, and someone always pays the fare. Corporations learn to whisper in the language of the state, and states learn to translate profit into mandates. From Geneva halls to Brussels squares, they practice unison. They model federations like a laboratory sun. A web of laws and clauses, a scaffold made of trust. The promise of a single world where old suspicions rust. But rust hides fissures, the seams where stories fray, where locals taste the cost and find their own debts to pay.
All roads lead to Rome, but Rome is built of glass, reflecting gilded windows and the faces that they pass. All roads lead to Rome, where signatures are kings, and every new agreement folds the world into their ring.
They say stability is sacred, they parade the economic charts. They promise growth and safety while they move the vital parts. But power learned to shelter in the places laws cannot reach. And offshore seats and finance streets where accountability can breach. We watch the Santa shift, not by cannon but by pen. A global governance and practice tested in the den. They said one market, one system, so the world will never wage. And quietly rewired borders into multinational stages. So what becomes of stories told on porches and in bars, of neighborhood saints and coffee stains and worn out family cars. We write new lines on older maps and learn to read the code. We chant and muted whispers about the cost of progress. Oh, but every road is many roads and every city holds a cry. Rome may be a center, but the periphery will rise. We keep the ledger open with the pen that's not their own. We sign our names on futures not yet chartered into stone.
Roads lead to Rome, and Rome will light the night. But every lantern shadows alleys where the people hold their fight. Roads lead to Rome, where signatures are kings, and every new agreement folds the world into their rings.
Yeah. They say stability is sacred, they parade the economic charts. They promise growth and safety while they move the vital parts. But power learned to shelter in the places laws cannot reach. We march for seats and find the streets where accountability can breach.